Hi, I'm Ernie Zor, and I'll be your guide in this Puritas Spring software demonstration video of ClientBase5, which is one of the major parts of the Law Office Management Pack. If you're not familiar, Law Office Management isn't really an application, it's a set of applications, and ClientBase5 is one of the programs in that set. It's also the logical starting point for working with the suite of programs, and that's why this is the first of what will likely be 3 successive videos. ClientBase5 is unique in the Puritas Springs catalog because it goes so long without needing to purchase an update. Let's face it, accounting principles don't change all that much over time, not like tax laws and legal forms. So, our customers that purchased ClientBase in 2011 are still cruising along using the same app. No update costs, no subscription fees, no technical support charges, and it's great that it works in XP, it works in Vista, Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10. Okay, let's start by looking at the main window. It's what you're looking at now, and it's what you're actually looking at most of the time when you're working in the program. I like it because if you've got a couple hundred names entered, you can just about see them all at the same time without wasting time clicking or searching or navigating. The upper half of the screen, the one that you see now, has 400 names that are right in view. It's called the list view. The bottom window, the table view, has all the fields in a spreadsheet format. And although you see a lot less names, the table view shows you nearly all the fields. Also, notice that when I click on a name in the list view, like John Goodrow there, the name highlights, it scrolls automatically and highlights in the table view. But that's not what I like most about the table view. It's that it acts like other apps that you're familiar with in Windows, like Windows or File Explorer, for example, where you can sort your entries by clicking on the column header. Click again, and they fall into reverse order. So if you want to know how many clients that you have in Hinckley, you can click on the city column and scroll to the H section. These might already be in order on the screen here. There we go. Well, anyway, I'm not going to scroll along to them, but you get the idea. And that can be done on any of the columns. Now, for purposes of this video, I've opened a ClientBase file that's part of the demo that's at our website. It's called sample.cb5. It has about 523 fictitious names and addresses in it, and that makes it perfect for using in this demonstration. Now, I said earlier that most of the time you'll be looking at the main window as you are right now, and that's true. But the other part of the time, you're going to be working in the entry form, and I'll bring up the entry form so you could take a look at it. Now, when I'm helping someone learn ClientBase, one of the first things I tell them is that there are 2 important fields on this form, client number and last name. And the client number field completes itself, so you almost have nothing to worry about. Now, although the client number field does complete itself, you can change the number. I don't recommend it because when you allow ClientBase to complete the field, it guarantees that your client number assignment will always be unique. That means that no other client in the database has the same number, just like a Social Security number. Also, like a Social Security number, the client number sticks with the client. You never want to change a client's number because every record in the Law Office Management databases that refer to that number will be orphaned. Maybe that's what you want, but I'm thinking that usually it isn't what you want. Now, the last name field is the other important field because it's most often the basis on which the database is sorted. You can have a record without a last name, but it'll simply sit at the top of the screen and just take up space. That leads me actually to the company field. Most of the other fields are self-explanatory, but I want to say something about the company field. I don't use it. And the reason I don't use it is because of the way ClientBase does its sorting. For my purposes, I want the ABC company to appear under the letter A along with all the other names, the names of individuals. But that's not what happens if I use the company field. Instead, when I sort, according to last name, the companies with empty last names appear at the beginning of the list. Kind of like Windows separately sorts files and subfolders in a directory. And companies with the last name fields completed will be sorted according to the last name and not the company field. Either way, it's not what I want. I usually want my individual clients and business clients to appear in normal alphabetical order, and I get that by putting the business name in the last name field. Credit card transactions work that same way, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, the other couple other things I want to say about the entry form, and that is that the note fields are useful because you can use them for anything you want. They're treated like text, and they have a 64-character limit, which leads me to the last thing about the entry form, and that's the memo field. If the 64-character limit on the note field is too much of a restriction, the memo field can hold more. If there's a character limit, I'm not really sure what it is, but I've never bumped into it. I'm thinking it's like at least 16,000 characters, and it may be more than that. Finding names and addresses in the database is one area where ClientBase shines. The find command is lightning fast. We have over 8,000 names in the Puritas Springs database, and finding a name is almost instantaneous. You do it by pressing Control F, type in your search text, and hit enter. And that's it. You see how fast that came back. That's only with 500 odd names. It's not even breaking a sweat. And at 8,000 names, I would say it's just about the same speed. Very, very fast. Oh, I should add that the find command searches all the fields in a record, including the memo field. So if you're trying to locate a client and you can't remember anything but maybe any part of any field, you'll still be able to find the client if you just know a part of the address or part of the note field or something like that. It'll still be able to find it, and just as quickly. Now, when I pulled up the entry form, you may not have noticed how I did it. I did it by double-clicking a name in the list view, and I'll do it again with Mary Krupa. Just double-click it, entry form pops up. Another way to bring up the entry form, and you already saw it when I did my find, is you use the find command, and the name and address entry form already automatically pops up when it matches the search text or key, whatever you want to call it. Okay, anyway, moving along, press the add button, which you see over here on the far left, to add a new name and address to the database. I'll do that right now. And there it is. You see that the client number is already completed, and I can fill out a new entry form. There's also an add button in the entry form that you can use if you're adding more than one name and address at a time, so that you don't have to keep going back to the main window and clicking on the add button. You can just click on save, then add, then save, then add, and put in a whole bunch of entries with less effort. The only field that's already completed is the client number. You know, it's important to be familiar with the add button and the delete button too, because all of the component applications in Law Office Management use these same buttons in the same way. Now, the delete button, of course, deletes the name or names you have selected. And in that context of names, another thing to note about the list view is that it behaves like many other Windows programs in that if you click on one name and then shift-click on another name, it'll highlight all the names in between. And if you control-click, you can add or subtract names individually. It's kind of neat. And so then if I wanted to hit the delete key, which I'm not going to do, it would delete all the names that I have highlighted. Well, There's a whole lot more I can say about ClientBase, but I'm just about at the end of my allotted time, so I'll mention a few more functions without going into too many details here. ClientBase has a unique copy-paste function where it formats the field in the entry form so that it can be pasted in other applications like addressing an envelope or a letter. I'll see if I can show you real fast. Let's get this Kimberly O'Neill. We're going to click on the copy button. We'll close that down. Let's go into Notepad here, and I'll just some gibberish in there, but let me just paste. You see how that pasted out? All the fields in the right order. It looks pretty nice. Anyway, that's just a little trick. Next, printing. Now, when you've got 8,000 names in the database like we do at Puritas Springs, I don't use printing functions very much at all. But ClientBase can print names in a kind of like a telephone book format that squeezes, I don't know, 100 names or whatever on the same page, just so, you know, they're all packed together just like you'd see in a page in a telephone book. It could also print in a full format that takes up more space but prints all the values of all the fields. I believe it uses a half or 1 page per name, so it's not the sort of function you'd use if you had 200 names in there. Finally, ClientBase can print 2 popular styles of labels: tractor feed labels, like you would use in a bulk mailing perhaps, and also Avery sheet labels in the format 32 a page, 3 columns, 10 labels in each column. I don't have time to another thing. Yeah, that's what I don't have time to demonstrate filters, but they can be very handy as well. They're like the find command, but they operate on more than one field at the same time. So they're pretty fun to play around with and get to use. And with that, that's it. I hope this video gives you a good basic idea of what ClientBase can do. I'm sure we'll be doing at least 2 more videos related to law office management, and those will cover the 2 other major components, BookBase and BillBase. Keep an eye out for them on YouTube soon. Before I go, I always like to close by letting you know that if you're interested in law office computing tips like the ones we put in our annual issue of Law Office Computing magazine or our monthly email newsletter, you'll be interested in a book called The Best of Law Office Computing. It's not specific to Puritas Springs products. It covers all subjects related to using computers in law offices. It's got all the best tips from years of back issues, so I'm sure you'll find it entertaining and the tips and the hints useful. You can get the ebook at Amazon for only $9 and the paperback for only $12. Most of all, I want to thank you for visiting our YouTube channel. Our goal is to make your life in the law office a little bit easier, and I hope you visit us again. Until you do, I wish you all the best. Take care.